Hi, welcome to Hope in the Light of Suicide. I'm Tammy White. I'm your host and founder and CEO of the Bobby White Foundation. Welcome. First, of course, we need to take care of some business. Thank Area 52 Media Group and John Gaston. Actually, he's in town, so hopefully I get to see him a little bit later. We do these shows, have been doing these shows remotely now for, oh gosh, I don't know, maybe a year. And so I think I've only seen him maybe once in that time period, but and it's a good time for him to be down here in Florida. So and Joseph behind the scenes doing all our tech work, because otherwise we wouldn't be here. So, and also want to thank Dylan Gaston with the mortgage firm, Everything Mortgages, for sponsoring our show. Everything Mortgages, just flat out, Everything Mortgages. She's also a super great support. So, I don't remember if I mentioned it last week or not, maybe, but we're coming up. This is a really hard time for me. We're coming up on that anniversary of Bobby's death, and actually, we tape this show a few days ahead of time, and today actually happens to be, and that's why I named the show Anniversaries, Good and Not So Good. We moved into our home, our forever home, 34 years ago today. And we left Fort Lauderdale and moved up here after his MS diagnosis, and with our two cats and a U-Haul. And it was funny. I was kind of joke about this because we weren't married when we moved up here, and his parents, my in-laws, were devout Catholics, and so whenever we stayed at their house, which we stayed at their house the night we came up actually on March 30th, parked the U-Haul in front of the house, and we stayed the night at my in-laws' house. But we had to sleep in separate rooms because we weren't married, even though we had been living together for 3 years in Fort Lauderdale. But I always kind of joke around about that. But anyways, and then of course I've been here the last 9 years by myself. And but I always think it's still kind of mixed. It's a good day. I mean, we love where we live. But then also, unfortunately, on this day about 10 years ago, we lost my mother-in-law. She passed away on April 1st. So that kind of in a way diminished, it put a little crinkle in our, our happiness and fondness for, this day of, purchasing our home and living here for so many years. It had just been 25 years when Bobby took his life that we had lived here. And we always said, because when we were both younger, we used to move around a lot, except for the 3 years that we lived in Fort Lauderdale was at that time maybe the longest time either one of us had lived in one place. So we always said that, this was it. And the only way we're leaving here is feet first. Unfortunately, that has happened. My sister-in-law made sure that that's how he was taken out of here, because he took his life here on our property, the same property we got married on. But where some people, and it has happened to several people that we have helped throughout our journey, is how could you stay there? And for me, and it's just for me because a lot of people, couldn't or wouldn't want to, or whatever, stay. But quite frankly, for me, I this is where I feel closest to him, and I don't know what I would do, how I would feel if I lived somewhere else. Um, right away, and I know I've mentioned this before, my mom immediately had mentioned to me, why don't sell the house and move back home to. I grew up in Wenatchee, Washington, and we had just lost our dad, my dad, 5 weeks prior to Bobby. And I was like, well, no, I've lived here for 25 years. I have friends, we have family. Bobby's family's here. I have a business. you know, this was our home. We had 25 pretty good years here, and we had one really super bad day. And I was not going to let that one incident of Bobby taking his life ruin all of that. And like I said, I do feel closer to him now. I talk to him a lot, and when I'm doing his chores, sometimes it's not so happy talk, but not really so bad. So, anyways, and then of course, a week from today, on April 8th, is the anniversary of his suicide. So every year when it comes around, I always think it's going to be so much better, that I'm not going to go through some of the feelings that I go through. Um, but every year I'm wrong. I'm hoping someday, one year, I won't be wrong, and it will be better. But you just have to. You just have to push through it. We've been going through Dr. Wolfelt's book, but I want to, and I'm going to do things kind of crazy here, so it might drive Joseph crazy. But the book that we're going through, The Wilderness of Suicide Grief, the fifth touchstone is recognize you are not going crazy. And that's what I feel like sometimes. There's the book. And we're gonna get to that here in a little bit, because I want to do get to something else too, because otherwise we'll run out of time. So, and then also when I went to his seminar in February, I picked up a couple other books, and I haven't read this one yet, but this month, I think, is going to be the perfect timing for it. And both these books are available on his website. So this one is You're Not Crazy, You're Grieving. So it's like kind of perfect timing, because a lot of times that's how I feel. That's probably how a lot of you feel, is just me. I can be all over the place. So some of the things that I'm doing, and this is going to tie into it a little bit. So first off, see, and this is where this is coming from. So don't forget, we have our support groups for April coming up, and they are the Spring Hill one is April 9th at the NAMI office, and the Newport Richie one is April 17th at the Oasis Coffee Shop. It's free to attend. You don't have to register. If you feel like coming, and just show up. If you think you're going to come, don't feel bad if you just, something just comes over you and you just can't do it. We're going to be there for you. And remember, it's a safe place. Everything that we talk about in these groups is confidential. It's a safe landing spot. You have people that understand what you're going through, because we're all going through this journey. We just may be further ahead or further back, but it's a safe place. So don't forget that. So, And then, in order for us to do all this stuff, we have our major fundraiser, Art for Hope, and we just last month had our first volunteer meeting, and we're switching it up a bit this year. So we showed you last week the painting behind me. Nope, did it wrong. This one here. One of our volunteers, Kim, picked this piece up, and it's going to be available at Art for Hope. As I think we're going to raffle it off as a door prize. So remember Art for Hope, Hilton Garden Inn. Same place, same location where we've always had it. We always have great food, light hors d'oeuvres, cash bar. They've been a great support for us every year. Our 8th annual, I can't believe it. That's really kind of crazy. So part of the shaking things up with it is, and it ties into what I'm kind of trying to talk about, doing things differently to maybe get through some of these extra hard times. It's hard. It's all hard. But sometimes like anniversary dates, birthdays, special things that maybe you did with the person that you lost, shaking things up a bit and maybe, doing things a little bit different might help. Everybody's going to be different. Everybody's grief journey is going to be different. But we've decided with Art for Hope, we're going to bring in a bunch of different types of art. So one of the things that I'm working on, and I'm going to work on a bunch of this stuff too, that'll be available at our fundraiser, is I came across, and I used to do it when I was a kid, macrame. I used to macrame a lot. And actually, when I was married to Michael, I macrameed a lot. So I came across these designs for cat beds. Of course, I have my cats. So I started this one. It's not finished yet. I was hoping I would have it finished by now, but it's going to be a cat bed. See the little paw print? And it'll have, on all 4 corners, it'll have like design strings where it can tie to like either underneath a chair where the cat can sit at it and swing, or I think I'm going to make a couple frames and see how we can do that, so that so we can do that. And I just received another thing of macrame yarn to do another one. So I've got a few designs, and so it's just I'm going to trickle in a little bit of some of the new things that we're going to have available. It's all on the Art Realm. We're going to have some glass fusing, stained glass art. We're just going to bring in a whole bunch of different things. And some of these are things that I'll be doing, and we'll have other artists' works in. But it's something that at this point that I'm kind of trying to do for myself, because I've just get a scattered brain, and it's been that way ever since losing Bobby, and trying to concentrate is really super hard. But if I can get in a mindset where I have to concentrate on just this one task, I don't have to concentrate on anything else. It should be therapeutic, because art is therapeutic, no matter what type of art you're doing. So I get off on a bunch of crazy stuff. That's why the macrame hasn't been done. Is last weekend, my young neighbor, her and I had a girls' day, which we've done a couple times, and it's really fun. And her name's Amber, and her husband Jeff, they remind me of Bobby and I when we were their age, because they're at about the age, well, a few years ago, that Bobby and I were when we moved here to our home. And they have their age difference is the same as ours. And actually, I babysit their dogs and ducks now, so, or have been, for a couple of years. But anyway, so we went on a girls' day, and there's this farm that we've gone to before and that we wanted to go to, and it's Beasley's Farms, and it's in Brooksville, and they have animals and produce and farming stuff. We saw the chickens and rabbits and cows and goats. What else was there? I guess that was kind of it. But anyway, it was fun. It was out in the country. It's very nice. We went and had lunch at this Main Street Cafe in downtown Brooksville, and then went to Beasley's Farms, and I picked up 25 pounds of tomatoes. And there they are. And I also got like 5 pounds of peppers, mostly hot peppers. So this is for canning. So this weekend, instead of finishing the macrame that I should have done, I canned seven pints of tomatoes and 4 pints of hot peppers. And I'm in the process of making ketchup, and probably I still have some more tomatoes left, so probably some more some tomato sauce. So that's what happens with my brain is I have a project going, and then I go off onto another tangent and do another project. But it's part of the brain fog and the concentration. It's hard, and it's hard to get it back. And it's something that I try and work on, and you can do good for maybe a few days, and you think, oh, I'm doing really good, and then now all of a sudden you're off again. So I have so many different projects going on, but I am, by the next show, I'll have that cat bed finished because I have the macrame yarn for the second design. And if I be really good, maybe I can have that ready. I can't promise that, but because it being April too, I do also want to get finished painting the house. I've had to paint for 3 years. See, another. And being this month, I want to get it painted because I painted the same color as the cottage for my business, which is kind of like a buttery yellow. Because to me, yellow is a happy color. It's not a bright yellow. It's just a soft yellow. I've seen some houses. We were coming home last Saturday, Amber and I, and we drove by a house that was this super, and it's a small house, super bright yellow and bright purple trim. I was just like, oh, no. Oh gosh, it was so funny. But yeah, so that's the goal, because there's a lot of days in April, and I don't know why it happens this way, because we lost my mother-in-law, and then Bobby died. Well, and even prior to that, my in-laws anniversary is April 22nd, and I think it's been almost 20 years since my father-in-law passed away, and he passed away at around 1:30 a.m. on the 23rd. So he waited until an hour and a half after their anniversary was over to go to heaven. And I think we lost Uncle Bobby in April too. Yeah, it's a crazy month, but it starts off this way. But if I kind of try and keep busy and doing these different things, thankfully I have friends that are always there to help and be supportive. So let's get back to this. You're not crazy, you're grieving. So, and that kind of helps if you kind of think about it with your mindset, because then it's like, okay, I do there is a reason, I do have an excuse. Otherwise seriously, there's times you feel like you're going crazy, like you've just totally lost your mind. So here's a quote from Walter Mondale that he has in this book. If you are sure you understand everything that is going on, you are hopelessly confused. I thought that was really pretty good. So I'm not gonna like read through explain all of them, but I'm gonna read through some of these that are common thoughts and feelings in grief, when you're going through grief, that might make you feel like you're going crazy. So, sudden changes in mood. That can happen so easily. Memory lapse and time distortion. Yeah, memory lapses is really, especially in the early part of your journey, is yeah, I had a lot of that. But unless I write things down nowadays, I can't remember hardly much. I have to really keep a good calendar if I'm going to stay on track and not forget some things. And I still do. But yeah, thinking challenges. Sometimes it's hard to think. That's where, it's the brain fog. And I really, until going through this, I don't even know if I have really heard the term before. And and then with my journey and realizing, and one day I was like, oh my gosh, this is what it is. Brain fog. I mean, it was just crazy. Psychic numbing, disconnection. I don't know that I don't disconnection is common with suicide grief. And I think for me, maybe it's just because it's so sudden, and the not knowing why. I don't know. Self-focus or feeling selfish. I don't know that I felt that either. Because to me, it's like, I'm the one that's going through this, and other people are going through it too. At the same time I was, of course, our families and our friends. But you have to take care of yourself. Expressing feelings more openly than in the past. Possibly, but that is a good thing. Because even in this other book, and I mentioned it before, you have to go backwards before you can move forwards. I don't know if that's exactly the term, but it's there. Grief bursts. I talked about it a couple shows ago when Dr. Wolfelt told us when he has his grief bursts pertaining to his dad standing in the middle of the grocery aisle looking at the pasta, because that reminded him of his dad. And grief bursts can happen at any time. Crying. And then there's this other thing. It's called borrowed tears. And they can come out of nowhere, and it might not even be related to the person who you're mourning. And I totally get it. What was the show recently? It was a music show. It was a country music thing. Oh, that was the Grand Ole Opry thing. I think I cried through the whole darn thing. Let's see here. There was something. I wanted to read this one. This here because, of course, I always run out of time with this. You're not crazy. You're grieving and mourning. Never forget that your journey through the wilderness of your grief may bring you through all kinds of strange and unfamiliar terrain. When it seems like you're going crazy, remind yourself to look for the trail marker that assures you you are not going crazy. You are grieving and mourning. Anniversaries are going to be hard. Holidays. But remember, you're grieving. And I have some snippets out of this one that I'm going to bring to you next week, but we are going to still go through. The next Touchstone 6 is understand the 6 needs of mourning. I think we went through some of those right after the seminar. But anyways, so for this quote for this show is about losing my husband. Dear husband in heaven, sometimes I wish for you to come back, but I wouldn't want you to suffer again. I know you are with me, and I will always love and miss you with all my heart. Your forever wife. So remember to put the phone numbers in your phone, have them ready, have them available. The National Suicide Prevention Lines, call or text 988. Veterans, press 1. Youth, text 741-741. First responders, text badges to 741-741. Because you never know. You could be the one that is going to bring hope to that one person. And even if it's just one person, it's worth it. Because, like I say all the time, and I truly believe it, there is always hope. Thank you.